In January 2026, the U.S. Department of Justice unlocked over 3.5 million pages of hidden files on Jeffrey Epstein, millions of documents, 180,000 images, and more than 2,000 videos that expose a web of power, abuse, and silence stretching from a private island to the halls of presidents and palaces. For decades, the world's most powerful people flew on his jet, partied at his mansions, and stayed quiet about the girls he targeted. Until now, when these explosive 2026 files rip away the redactions and force the truth into the open. Imagine a 15-year-old girl stepping onto Epstein's private island, promised a future, only to become a pawn in a machine of exploitation run by billionaires, royals, and politicians. Her words, buried for years, are finally screaming from the pages released this year. Jeffrey Epstein didn't just abuse girls. He built an empire on their trauma, trading silence for influence with names like Trump, Clinton, Gates, Musk, and Prince Andrew. And the fresh 2026 document dump reveals just how deep that empire went. What if the real scandal isn't what Epstein did alone, but who knew, who flew with him, and who protected him for decades? Questions the massive January 2026 release of millions of unfiltered files now demands we answer. Hidden cameras, secret flights, and a trail of broken lives. The 2026 files, over 3 million pages unsealed under a new transparency law, don't just reopen old wounds. They expose a system that let one man prey on the vulnerable, while the elite looked the other way. Jeffrey Epstein was born on January 20th, 1953 in Brooklyn, New York. His family was not rich. His father worked taking care of parks. His mother helped at a school. Jeffrey was very smart from a young age. He loved math and science. He went through high school fast. Then he tried college but left without finishing. No degree. Still, at 21, he got a job teaching math and physics at Dalton School. That is a very expensive private school in Manhattan for children of powerful families. He had no teaching certificate, but he was charming and the parents liked him. One parent worked at a big bank called Bear Stearns. That connection got Epstein a job there in 1976. He was young, but he learned fast how to handle money for rich people. He made trades, moved funds, and built a reputation as someone who could make problems disappear. In 1981, he left Bear Stearns quickly. There were questions about breaking rules, but no charges were filed. He started his own companies. First one called Intercontinental Assets Group, then another called J. Epstein & Company. He told people he only worked with clients who had at least $1 billion. That was not always true, but it made him sound important. His real breakthrough came in the mid-1980s. He met Les Wexner, the man who built Victoria's Secret. Wexner was one of the richest people in America. He gave Epstein control over huge amounts of his money. Epstein had power of attorney, which means he could buy, sell, and sign for Wexner. He bought houses, art, and planes for Wexner and took big fees for himself. By the 1990s, Epstein was extremely wealthy. He owned a giant house in New York City on 71st Street. It had many rooms, gold decorations, and strange art on the walls. He had a beach house in Palm Beach, Florida, with a pool and private rooms. He bought a huge ranch in New Mexico called Zorro Ranch with its own airport. He had an apartment in Paris near the famous streets. And in 1998, he bought Little St. James Island for almost $8 million. It is 72 acres of land surrounded by clear water. He built villas, a temple-like building, and places to stay for guests. People who lived nearby started calling it something bad, but most did not know why until later. Epstein could not do all of this alone. In the early 1990s, he met Ghislaine Maxwell. She came from a famous family in England. Her father was a powerful man who owned newspapers, but he died in a mysterious way in 1991. After that, Ghislaine had no money left. She moved to New York and met Epstein. They became very close. Some said they were a couple. Others said she worked for him. Either way, she became the person who ran his houses and his schedule. She found young women and girls for him. She went to places like schools, malls, and spas. She talked to girls who looked like they needed money or help. She promised modeling jobs or scholarships. She said Jeffrey is a good man with connections. Come give him a massage and you will get paid well. Many girls said yes because they were young, poor, or alone. The first visit seemed normal, $300 cash for 30 minutes of work, but it always turned into something sexual. Epstein would ask for more. If they said no, he would get angry or promise more money next time. Many girls were scared to say anything because he was rich and powerful. This became a system. One girl would get paid extra if she brought a friend. That friend would bring another. It was like a chain. Dozens of girls started coming to his houses in New York, Palm Beach, and the island. They were flown on his private plane. People called it the Lolita Express because so many young girls were on it. Flight logs from the new files show more than 1,000 trips between 1991 and 2018. Girls went from New York to Florida to the island to Paris and back. There were hidden cameras in many rooms. The 2026 files say investigators found hundreds of hours of video from his properties. Most faces are not shown in public, but the descriptions are clear. Group events, guests watching, Epstein directing. It was not random. It was planned. The victims were real people with real lives that were broken. More than 200 names appear in the files. Many were between 13 and 17 when it started. They came from difficult homes. Some had parents who worked long hours. Some were in foster care. Some ran away. Epstein and Maxwell looked for girls who seemed easy to control. One girl from Palm Beach was 14 in 1995. A woman at the mall said there is a man who pays well for simple work. The girl went. She got money the first time. The second time it was different. She said in a court paper he held me down and said, if I told anyone my family would suffer. She stopped going to school. She had bad dreams for years. Now she is in her 40s. She got money from a lawsuit against a bank that helped Epstein. She wrote in 2026, I was invisible then. These files make me visible now. Another girl was 17 from South Africa. She came in 2006. She thought it was a modeling opportunity. She stayed on the island for weeks. She said Maxwell was there watching and sometimes laughing. She said powerful men came and went. She escaped by swimming to a boat. Years later, she spoke publicly. She said, I saw big names nearby, but no one helped. The files confirm parts of her story. Emails show arrangements for her travel. Today, she helps other survivors. She writes books and talks to lawmakers. She says power protects itself, but truth can break it. There are many more stories like this. One girl met Epstein through old school connections from Dalton. She was 15. She flew with important people. She later said one man touched her while Epstein watched and laughed. She settled a case for a lot of money. In 2026, she said I was a piece in their game. Now the game is over. Most of these women have post-traumatic stress. Many use drugs to cope. Many lost trust in people. But many also fought back. They joined support groups. They got therapy. They spoke in court. A fund paid more than $150 million to victims. By 2025, they are not silent anymore. Epstein loved being around famous people. The files name more than 150 people who flew on his plane, went to his parties, or took his money. Not everyone did wrong things, but many knew something was strange and did not ask questions. Bill Clinton flew on the plane more than 25 times, mostly in 2002 and 2003. He says it was for charity work in Africa and Asia. No proof he went to the island, but emails show Epstein wanted everything quiet around Bill. Donald Trump knew Epstein in the 1990s. They went to events together in New York and Florida. Trump once said nice things about him, but later banned him from one of his clubs after a problem. The files show many phone calls between them in the late 90s. Prince Andrew was a close friend. He visited the island at least 12 times, according to logs. Photos show him with young women at Epstein house. He settled a lawsuit for millions of dollars. New emails from 2026 talk about arranging massages for the Duke. He says it never happened that way. Bill Gates met Epstein many times after 2011. He says it was about science and charity. He now says he regrets it. Emails show Epstein tried to use Gates' name for introductions to important people. Other names appear too: actors, models, lawyers, professors. Some flew once. Some came to dinners. The 2026 files show Epstein gave millions to universities like Harvard and MIT for science programs. He wanted to look smart. Scientists took his money and talked to him. Some visited the island. One famous computer expert was there, according to notes. Questions remain about what really happened. The trouble started in 2005. A mother in Palm Beach called police. Her 14-year-old daughter had money she could not explain. The girl said she gave massages to a rich man and it went too far. Police started asking questions. They talked to more girls. 36 came forward. They searched the Palm Beach house. They found photos of young girls' oils, lotions, and other things. The FBI got involved. They called it a big case. But in 2008, something strange happened. Epstein made a deal. He agreed to say guilty to smaller charges. He got 18 months in jail but could leave most days to go to work. He served only 13 months. The victims were not told about the deal ahead of time. Many people were angry. They said rich men get special treatment. Years later, the man who made the deal said he was told Epstein was connected to important people and to be careful. In 2018, a reporter in Miami wrote big stories about Epstein. She talked to many victims. The world started paying attention. In July 2019, FBI agents arrested him at an airport in New Jersey. New charges in New York for sex trafficking. He was put in jail with no bail. On August 10, 2019, guards found him dead in his cell. The official report said suicide by hanging. But many people do not believe it. The cameras were not working. The guards did not check on him. His brother hired experts who said the injuries looked more like murder. The 2026 files add more questions.